Hi, hello, Juan.
Hi, Mara.
How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. So looking forward to this new episode.
Yes, so today we will be talking about remote code execution exploits
Hmm.
and also our latest kernel exploits for exploit
Indeed,
pack.
indeed. I cannot complain about the topic because it's one of my favorite topics,
Good.
exploitation and writing exploits. And also yeah, as you mentioned today, we're gonna showcase some of the Windows kernel exploits that we have, and yeah, really looking forward to play with those.
Yes, sounds interesting. So how do we start with all
Hmm.
this? How do we begin?
All right. First we're gonna what we're gonna show is exploit pack, the tool
Mhm.
itself. Exploit pack is a framework for exploit development. So basically, if you are an exploit developer, a penetration tester, or either a security enthusiast that you want to learn over the topic, exploit pack has all these tools and libraries that will help you create, launch, and execute your exploits. And yeah, and for that topic, we're gonna show one particular exploit that we have prepared is for Apache OFBiz.
Okay.
Apache OFBiz will be running inside a Kali in a Kali machine, and
Mhm.
yeah, and inside a virtual machine.
A
So
virtual
it's
machine.
yeah. So
What kind of virtual machine do you use?
I prefer to use VMware, but there are other alternatives such as Parallels, VirtualBox. VirtualBox is free and open source from Oracle. Actually, they got acquired recently. Well, not recently, but on my years that they they got acquired recently. And yeah, so what it means is that you can have these virtual machines in your lab. I recommend to use virtual machines instead of bare metal. Because it has many advantages using virtual machines. One of of course, my favorite advantage of running your target in the lab inside a virtual machine instead of bare metal is to have snapshots, because when
Yeah.
on a snapshot, what you can do is you can take a snapshot of what was the status prior your exploit, and then you can go back yeah to
You
uh,
can
uh,
always go back to the state that it was before that. Yeah.
exactly like a time machine of some sort.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's quite useful also when you do debugging. For example, I used that a lot when I was doing the Windows kernel exploit, because then I have two machines connected to each other through a pipe, and then when the machine crashes or give me a blue screen, then I can just revert back with that snapshot to the status that I was before the
Yeah, that's
crash.
always useful.
It's
Yeah,
super useful.
absolutely.
Yeah, it actually is
Yeah.
super useful.
So you have exploit pack installed on one machine that is a Kali Linux, right?
No, I will run exploit pack from my host, and then
Okay.
the target is gonna be a Kali Linux. I pick Kali Linux as a target because it's a Linux distribution that is well known by security professionals. But of course, it doesn't have to be Kali Linux. You could use any other Linux flavor like Ubuntu, Debian, Red Hat, so anything, because the target is not the Linux, but the target is gonna be the Apache OFBiz application.
Good.
And this exploit is not that old. I think it's around 8 months old. It has been patched already, but of course we're gonna show it as a proof of concept, basically as a demo. So it's easier to understand how a remote code execution works, and then how you can go from that.
Great. I'm excited to see that,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
see
of
your
course.
demonstration.
Yeah, of course, me too. Should I go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Hmm. Right, so to start, let me share the screen. There you go. Can you see my screen, Mara?
Yes, I can see it now.
All right, so I have here exploit pack install, and then from here, as I mentioned, of course, you have many tools inside, many sub tools inside the main tool that is exploit pack. Uh, that helps or assists an exploit writer or a penetration tester. But here we're gonna use exploit packages as a launcher, right? Meaning that we're gonna search for the exploit. We're gonna do no changes to the exploit itself, but we're gonna choose search for the exploit. So OFBiz, I'm
But
gonna type
eventually, if you need to edit an exploit, you can edit
yes,
as you
exactly.
need.
hmm Exactly. It's exactly like that. All right. So yeah. So here I have the exploit Apache for Apache
Mm-hmm.
OFBiz. And exploit pack is smart enough to select the interpreted that is needed for the exploit. In this case, this exploit is running Python is gonna be using Python to get the code execution, and the code execution on this particular exploit works by injecting a Java into it. The
Mm-hmm.
Apache OFBiz application, I have it running here, not on this one virtual machine, the other one here.
You have many open.
Yes, indeed. So I have it running here, and this exploit doesn't require any credentials. It's an authenticated remote code execution.
Mm-hmm.
So Apache OFBiz is running here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you. So I already know beforehand that it's running on this IP address, but otherwise you
Mm-hmm.
can go into utilities and select the network mapper or into targets, and then do a network mapping, a network scan against this virtual machine. Of course, you will discover that this port is open. And yeah, from there, the only thing needed for this exploit is going to be the custom command. In this case, I'm going to do who am I
Mm-hmm.
and run it.
New exploit deployed.
And then as you can see, the command execution has worked. And then it returns
Okay.
back as an output the name of the user, that is Kali. Um,
Okay,
let's,
but how do you escalate this into a shell?
that's a good question. Um, for example, well, that's a start
New exploit deployed.
will be to know what is the type of kernel that is running, and then that's what I use a name minus a. But for example, if I want to get a Python shell out of it, first let's check if Python is installed. So I'm changing the command that I run,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm gonna
New exploit deployed.
yes, so Python is installed, Python 3. So you can use from exploit pack, one of the tools that comes from in exploit pack. There is the shellcon one-liner, and this remote code execution can be escalated into a shell, into a full shell. So
Mm-hmm.
here you can pick any of the languages that
Okay.
you have
And can you
available.
choose Python there?
Yes, of course, Python, and then I'm gonna generate the one-liner, copy the Python shell.
That's
Uh,
useful, actually. That's
yes,
very useful.
indeed. So if you are doing a web shell, that you can also use it. You can use the one-liners from here. Then
Mm-hmm.
from the address to connect to, because it's the shell is gonna connect back, you have to start a listener. Gonna use this port 5678. Start. Yeah, so I have my listener here on my right, and then I also copied the one-liner. I'm gonna replace the command for the
Mm-hmm.
one-liner and then execute it.
New exploit deployed.
There you go. And now we have the Python shell here. So now if I type ls, I have a shell, but it's not a full TTI. It's not a full shell. So something you can do if you have Python, then you can escalate into a full TTI by doing this. Well, it has to be like that. And then from here, we have a full shell. So first we have only the output being redirected through the stream, and now we have
Mm-hmm.
a full shell here. So as you can see, I can interact with it like if I were connected to SSH, for example. And again, I can choose type the commands that I wanted. who am I, list what is anywhere. So
Oh, that's
that's it.
good.
That's
Or you can go to control pack and
uh-huh.
keep on going from there, right?
Yes, and how it works. So after you have the shell, and if you want to go further on this shell, because here what we got is first on the first stage we got the exploit running. Second stage we got the our code executed into the target. Then we escalated into a full shell, and then we took that shell into a TTI shell and a full TTI shell, remote TTI, of course. And then from here, if you want to have an agent installed, then you can use another tool from exploit pack here. And then you can say send to remote shell. So here you can you can do two things. One is to run a second exploit to escalate the privileges, because as you notice, we are the user Kali that is choose a regular user. If you want to go into get root, then if you, for example, if you want to use a Windows kernel, not for Linux, Linux should be a Linux kernel exploit.
Yeah.
For example, there are many other type of local privilege escalations that you can do, but because of today, we're gonna we're gonna show kernel exploits, as I just mentioned that. You could use another exploit to escalate your privileges, and then you can send that exploit using this tool, this send to remote shell. So it's gonna use the command and the shell that you already have open, and then it's gonna send a second exploit and run it. Or if you want to use a control packaging, you can also do that here.
So if this was, for example, a Windows machine, you escalate privileges with that tool inside exploit pack, or you can
Exactly.
either do that or
Yes.
go to control pack.
You can use that stream, the stream of that shell, so you can, and then you will send that exploit or the binary or the tools that you gonna use using exploit pack. You will send that. And what I would recommend is that you first get to an agent, to a control pack agent. Then using that agent, you will try to escalate privileges. That will be the safest way, because control pack agents, they will not be detected, because from the shell, then we're gonna start having all these issues with detection, protection mechanisms, and so on. So first, get into a control pack agent. Yeah, that's you can use this tool. Basically, select the to file open, and then select the control pack agent that you want to upload. Then choose start the server and upload it to that shell. And then from there, you can use an exploit to escalate privileges. Yes, and for Windows, I already have prepared this machine. I'm gonna show you the exploits. These exploits are for local privilege escalation, are kernel exploits. What I'm gonna show you is the safe exploit running on Windows 10. I don't want to disclose the 0-day on
Of course
YouTube.
not.
That's why. So I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you a version with a different kernel exploit, and for Windows 10 instead of Windows 11.
But we do have a few exploits for exploit pack, right? Kernel exploits this month.
Indeed. But the main difference is that I'm gonna show you the techniques that works for Windows 10, so I don't disclose the new techniques that I use for Windows 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. So it's not on YouTube. There are some protections. There are some ways of doing it. It's not as hard as you might think, but here I'm using NT shutdown system and some other things that I'm using as a gateway on the syscalls. And on Windows 11 you have to use some different things, but still it's sort of the same. So it should be quite clear. And instead of showing you the kernel exploit that I have for Windows 11, I'm gonna show you one for Windows 10 instead. All right. So just go into that folder, and this will be quite similar. On this exploit is abusing a driver go.sys, and the way that I made this tool is this particular exploit is for an exploit class is abusing primitives of memory writing. So, but for physical memory, that's why it's called FISMEN. It's for physical memory writing, basically mapping and unmapping physical memory. And then without going deep into it, I'm gonna get um, a system shell. Basically, I'm gonna replace the tokens from this fizmem.exe process, and then I'm gonna replace that structure on the token from NT system from the system for binary. I'm gonna use these two IOCTL calls. One is for mapping, and the other one is for mapping physical memory, not virtual memory. I'm gonna use some old techniques to do the translation on this exploit, and that's what I don't want to disclose on how I do it for Windows 11, even just to protect a little bit the internet. And then the exploit again, this exploit is a pretty well-known exploit, and the other exploit is not it's not gonna be shown. But if you want to get those exploits, I want to learn those techniques. I already have those exploits, and they are on exploit pack. But you have to be, of course, a customer, and there is an EULA, and we only give our products to
In a
companies
responsible way.
in a responsible way. So this is not for hacking, it's for testing.
Yes.
But if you are a red teamer and you are interested into learning the latest techniques, then you can do that as well. This tool, fizmem.exe, is not just an exploit, but it's a tool that I made. So it's not just for this exploit, but it can be used with different exploits. So I mean, sorry, different drivers. So now it's asking me, do you want to open an existing device and you want to create a new device? I will say no, create a new device. So it's going to create the device, create the symbolic link, load the driver, and so on. And then it's going to try to abuse that driver. As you see, I'm running an administrator shell. So there is that's something that I leave the audience to decide if this is a privilege escalation or not, because what I'm doing is escalating from administrator to system, basically to kernel. It's not coming from a standard user. From Microsoft, luckily from Microsoft perspective, this is not something that they are gonna tackle, but they are, as I mentioned on Windows 11, they are adding protections and layers of security to prevent this, but not to prevent this particular exploit, but to prevent these classes of exploits. So
there is a way to do it in Windows 11.
Yes, still it will change, should change, and it will change in the future. But it's at this stage there are some it's a little bit easier. As I mentioned, there is almost no difference, honestly, if you look at the facts, and there are some hard protections that you cannot bypass, like the hypervisors and so on. So if you look at more details, the type of exploits, there are particular places, particular security mechanisms that they are bypassed in the same way, in different ways, and so on. But there are some hard blockers that you can still not coming through. There are some ways. I cannot lie. There are some ways for everything. All right. So type no. And then I have load the driver, create a driver handle. This is the key that it is using, and this is what I type it here. And then the status, then I get the kernel base address. On Windows 10, I get the kernel base address in a way. There is another way to get it. That's one of the things I was mentioning. There are some different ways. As simple as in Windows 11, but different. So there's a difference. Then I get the current process. Then from it, I'm gonna get the ID, the current process, what I have returned from the objects, and then from there I'm gonna get the process ID, and then from that I'm gonna get the system token, the all token from the process, fizmem. And then from it, I'm gonna swap those tokens basically from the system into this fizmem process. and then spawn a shell. And what happened here is that I
Mhm.
have escalated the privileges from the regular user that was administrator, still an admin, but I have escalated into system.
Mhm.
And this way I can execute system commands, and I also have access to do a physical read of the kernel memory space, and also while doing that, I can execute code as if I was a kernel. So from here, I could go into a lateral escalation, like that would mean inject stuff into the kernel. You can load your own driver instead of trying to keep escalating. You can keep there. You can keep yourself there, and you could, instead of dropping a shell with the system token swapped.
That was,
Uh,
sorry, that was the technique that we've been seeing on our last video, right?
Yes, yes, indeed. As a proof of concept, when you do Windows kernel exploit, typically you don't spawn a
Mhm.
calculator, but typically what you do is to show that you can do something from the kernel perspective. And the easiest thing to do is to get the tokens um, from other processes and then show those tokens, or you can get
Mhm.
something from memory, or you could, for example, export a debug print and then show it, use that debug print and show it on the debug viewer, or choose on the debugger from the kernel, so you can see actually something coming from the kernel that you have done. Uh, because crashing the kernel with a blue screen of dead is not enough. Just writing memory or doing something in the kernel is not enough. You should be able to control it. So
Yeah.
this is a proof of concept where we show we have control, and we have it swapped the tokens from the process with the token from the kernel, uh, from the system 4 process actually. And here we have done that using the exploit class for Windows kernel exploitation, that is physical memory read and write, using those primitives. And so we're
So
gonna.
you are being able to control the
Mhm.
kernel.
Yes, exactly. So I'm able to control the kernel, and what the kernel does basically, we got access into the ring 0, not
Mhm.
in this case Windows 11, and we still don't have like full on access, because
Mhm.
there are some part of the kernels that you cannot tackle. There are some things that you cannot do, and on Windows 11, as I mentioned, it changed it. The security protections is still doable. It
Mhm.
will change more in the future, but still can be done. Um, if you are interested into learning more about Windows kernel exploitation, I will be in Italy in the No-Hat conference giving a workshop over Windows kernel exploitation. So if that tickled your mind and if you are in Italy around October, check No-Hat conference.
In
And
Bergamo.
yeah, in Bergamo,
Yeah,
exactly. And I will cover the latest techniques for Windows 11 in an educational way,
of
of
course.
course. And remember, guys, exploit pack, Windows kernel exploitation, and all these remote code execution exploits, and everything what we show here is for red teamers, pen testers, and companies alike, for research purposes and for the SOC and the blue team to patch stuff and harden the security they have. We are trying to help red teams and security companies alike to reduce their attack surface, so they
Mhm.
can have a better security posture against real attackers. We don't want to become the attacker. We want to simulate the attackers. So when things gets real, you have tested your infrastructure and your servers in a real way. And on that topic, I don't think we can disclose it now, but we are working on a tool that's going to
Yes.
help blue teams at SOCs alike to reproduce, test, and report what are the flows with just one click. So we are quite busy on that. But going back into the exploit topic, if you like this video, if you like exploitation, please, guys, we are trying to create this format. Give us a like, leave us some feedback. Please tell us if there is something that you like or you don't like about this video. We
Or
are
a
trying,
topic that you would like to
yeah,
us to talk about or to
mhm.
learn.
Yeah, or something that you want us to address, change, improve, or choose cover. Leave it at the comment section below.
Yeah.
And I think that should be it. What do you think, Mara?
Yes, it was awesome. It was, yeah, there's a very short time on these
Uh-huh.
videos, but I think we've covered everything and it was very clear what you explained to us.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think that's it then. Thank you guys again. Thank for watching this episode, and
Thank
yeah,
you.
see you next week then.
See you in the next video.
All right, see
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye bye.